And I mean, the games are now starting thick and fast. I mean, Atletico are up. It is the first Champions League game. I mean, we'll talk about them a little bit because they are currently 11th in La Liga early doors. But I suppose Champions League, as we say here right now, some have got Liverpool as favourites. Do you think they've got a real chance of a double glory this season?
Yeah, I'm surprised kind of that PSG aren't being put as favourites because they're really, really good, and I don't think they've lost anything that made them champions last season, and they were unbelievable when Liverpool came up against them. So I'm kind of a little bit surprised about that, and particularly because Liverpool they've made some good changes, but we don't know how it's all going to pan out and who's going to fit in, and whether they can be as available as the forwards were last season, for example. So there's some ifs around Liverpool that I would say I would put PSG ahead of them. But obviously Liverpool should be up there. I think the only team that could have beaten them to it last season was PSG. And unfortunately they got them at the point they did. So, I think Liverpool are right up there, and they've got a very, very good chance of going for this tournament this season. But, they could probably do with PSG getting knocked out a little earlier, which they almost did last season. If that could happen again, that would be great.
Yeah, probably proves that finishing top of the whole thing isn't as prestigious as people made it out to be. And I mean, this game, Atletico, because it's a big team. They were in pot one, Diego Simeone, and everyone will have their memories of that season where Adrian just acted like a hologram and they stole it late at Anfield from what could have been. But when you look at it, they are 11th in La Liga. They've only won one of their first games, scored 5, shipped 4 for someone, a team that's notoriously hard to break down. It doesn't quite feel like, and you've looked at the way they've developed in the last few years, it doesn't feel like the Simeone Athletic powerhouse of old somewhat, does it?
No, but I'm always wary of saying that before they turn up and put on a defensive masterclass. I mean, the problem is kind of those fundamentals will always be there. So in a big game like that, Anfield away, where they know what the job is, you just worry that they'll come and they'll just make it horrible. They'll do what Burnley did, and Burnley had success in doing, which is just complete numbers behind the ball. And if they came out with a 0-0 from Anfield, they'd be absolutely delighted with it. So. In being in bad form almost makes their job easier, in that nobody's expecting them to turn up and play some champagne football. So, it just makes their job right. We'll just turn up and ruin the game. So, I'm always wary of kind of writing them off or thinking this is going to be straightforward. But of course, if they're lacking in a little bit of confidence, that's helpful. And Liverpool have definitely got the firepower, and they'll have the atmosphere behind them as well. So, it's nice to kick off with a really big game as well, isn't it? So I'm really looking forward to this one. Really good test, and hopefully Liverpool, because they're at home, because Atletico are maybe not the best and they're not the confident best. Maybe can be a chance for Liverpool to make a good start, and then if they do that, they'll get a big game out of the way, and with 3 points under the belt, you'd be very confident that they'll get through again.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It would be amazing if it worked out that way. And I suppose things that work out certain ways. This came out from Chris Bascom and a few others, didn't it? Going back to 2024. Julian Alvarez, who was a Manchester City player then, is currently an Atletico player, but it does it well. There's even suggestion he might not be fit. We'll have to see, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I mean, I'd have loved him in the summer. I'm not going to pretend for one single second, but the door feels short on this move now, doesn't it?
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, to be honest, I've no regrets on this one in terms of that Liverpool got Isak over the line. I mean, he is just as good a player, if not better, really. So, I think Alvarez would have been a fantastic alternative and a really good fit for Liverpool if they'd have been able to sign him this summer or even the summer before when that was mooted. So no doubts over his quality, and like you say, hopefully he does miss the game because he's very, very good. But no regrets either over what Liverpool have got, because you think in that kind of deeper role, which he can play as a second striker, they've got Florian Wirtz, who, I just don't doubt it's going to be a big success for Liverpool. And then in the centre forward role, Alexander Isak. So, not looking at him too enviously at the moment, given what Liverpool eventually did do in the market.
Yeah, I wouldn't, as much as I would have loved him, I wouldn't mind him missing this one. We'll see if he's available, probably get a bit more tomorrow. And I suppose in terms of Atletico, you mentioned that how the game will feel. It does. You're ready for the 4-5-1. You're ready for the deep block. We've got to be honest as well, because it is Europe. We're ready to use the words dark arts when we review this game, aren't we?
Oh yeah, they'll be diving and kind of little injuries and slowing the game down and doing everything they can to make it difficult for Liverpool. And Liverpool have just got to rise above it. I mean, it's actually handy, and I said this in my video review of the game yesterday, that it's quite handy, isn't it, that Liverpool have had the preparation of playing Burnley yesterday. And I know Burnley are not Atletico Madrid, but in terms of approach and what they're going to do to make it difficult and what you have to do to get through that kind of block, they've had a perfect kind of warm-up match for that. So hopefully that kind of sharpens minds, and having someone like Isak maybe off the bench as well to maybe nick you a goal late on if Atletico do succeed in keeping it tight. That's really handy. Plus, doing things at home is always easier as well. So I'm sure the fans will be kind of sucking the ball into the net as part of that. So yeah, it's going to be tough. It can, they can make it difficult for you if they're on song, but hopefully they're not. And hopefully Liverpool, even if they are playing well at Atletico, have the answers and have learned something from that Burnley game.
Yeah, fingers crossed, because you can feel the way this one's going to turn out. And I suppose you mentioned Isak. People will be looking at that. They'll be thinking about McAllister's ankle. We're waiting on Curtis Jones. It is probably the first week. We're going into 3 in a week, let's call it that. So rotation's going to come into the mix. Who do you think maybe it's easy to say because it's been a settled side so far, who might be moved or rotated for this one, do you reckon?
I think we're going to see change at right back. I do think we're going to see one of the two come in, whether that is Frimpong or Bradley. I mean, that is an absolutely fascinating debate, and I really don't know which side to come down on that. Thought Bradley was excellent yesterday. But of course, Frimpong with a couple more days of training and having made an appearance, is he fit enough now to jump ahead of him? And, the McAllister thing, how fit is he? What's that ankle looking like today? Is it swollen? But I don't think it's going to be kind of sweeping changes. I'd say that. I think there's a debate there on McAllister in midfield, Szoboszlai coming out from right back and possibly coming into midfield, and how you kind of work that one out. But I think, forward line will probably stay the same. I think we'll probably see Kirkes restored now and hopefully have a better game, and centre-half partnership picks itself, goalkeeper does. So not sweeping changes, as I say. It's going to probably be settled, but there's a couple of areas of the team there that are right up for debate, and just fascinating to see how the manager approaches it, really.
Yeah, we might get a bit more of a clue, I suppose, on Tuesday, but maybe not. We'll see which players up at the same time. And I suppose with this, because we know he's out, we've been told 45 most likely Saturday or this Wednesday coming. If the game's going how Liverpool won, do you think he'll want to keep his 45 minutes for the derby?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know whether he kind of think, well, if I can get him 15 minutes here and then I can get him 15 minutes against Everton, then he's ready to start the other side, or half an hour against Everton, sorry, and then he's ready to start. I mean, these are, you kind of, I think the beauty of this really will be, can you get him 15 minutes against Atletico? And then if you do give yourself scope then to give him half an hour against Everton, you might well need it, because they're playing quite well. They look tough to score against as well. Derby's a tough typically anyway. So having Isak up your sleeve for a good half an hour in that game would be massive, wouldn't it? So, maybe that's the approach, and maybe you don't want to rely too much on what Isak can do for you against Atleti, but if you can rely on him a little bit more for the derby, then absolutely perfect. So, again, that's another one really, really interesting thing in terms of how the medical staff allow him to approach it, what the manager is thinking about it. There's a few of these that have got to work themselves out as the season progresses, and so much for us to learn and see what the manager's thinking is like. So, and that's probably a key one, really.
Yeah, it's hard to say how many will be made. We'll probably have to wait till Wednesday to find this out. And I suppose the final thing I'll come to with this one, because it will be a late one Wednesday night. The weather has turned. You mentioned the wind at Burnley as well. Chance of the knee warmers being in place for Wednesday night, do you reckon?
Maybe. Honestly, it was absolutely freezing yesterday. And I know Turf Moor is cold anyway, just no matter what time of year. But I think I wonder whether it will be knee warmers straight in, which you shouldn't be doing for the first Champions League game. But it's it's really turning at the moment, isn't it? It's pretty horrible out there. So just another 8 months of this to enjoy.
Yeah, it will fly by, and we should try and end it on a positive. As much as they will be a difficult team, it will be probably a case of breaking them down. Still think the Reds get the 3 points in this one.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I think home advantage is massive in these, and they know how big a game this is. So, and as you say, Atleti not in the best of form. So, I just think Liverpool have got a better team now. The fluency's not quite there as much as we'd like it, but I just fancy them in a home game against anyone really. So, hopefully the atmosphere gets them over the line, and hopefully we just see, with another game under the belts, see that attack click a bit more, and they can kind of cut through Atletico, and then that would give them plenty of confidence then going forward.
Yeah, hopefully we've got plenty of confidence to take into the Champions League. And then there's just a small matter of a derby. Well, we're back this week to review Atletico and set up for that one as well. All it leaves me to say as ever is, for the time, the insight, and for answering all the questions, David, is massively appreciated.
Thank you.
And ladies and gents, that was another Media Matters for Anfield Index.